Monday. As usual, it's about governance, our topic of discussion, the governance structures in Africa and how they relate, or to matters to do with development and just the success or the proceedings of our country in terms of development in diverse sectors. And so, speaking about governance in Africa, governance still remains to be a broader issue of discussion when it comes to development of Africa. Because today I'll try to use how some of the governance decisions that are made are able to influence the overall development or proceedings of a country. So, taking an example for Burkina Faso, is a country in the western part of Africa. It's a landlocked country, and I've spoken about this country before. And so, Burkina Faso is a country that it has been experiencing a couple of military coups happening in that country, and the latest one was carried out by Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. Because the reason as to why this was done, it's because this guy understood and saw what the people were going through. Were going through in his country, since he's a military guy, and so he took it up to his humanity, and so that what was happening could actually be rectified. And since he saw that the current people who were in place were not able to rectify that, and then he took that action to make sure that it became the solution of what was happening in Burkina Faso. So it is a governance issue still, and being a governance issue, we need to see what has that brought after this guy came into place. Seeing on how on the recent thing that they have been able to do, putting in mind that if the existing government could have been still there, or what the government that was outstated by Captain Ibrahim Traore was still in place, it is very true that many of the developments that have been happening in this country in the recent 2-3 years would not be taking place. And so it was a bold decision for him to come in place, and it just shows how there is that need for good governance in Africa. There is that need for the requisite governance in place to be able to carry out development operations. I've spoken before about agricultural sector in Burkina Faso, of which also I'll try to touch on it today. We have spoken about the mining sector in Burkina Faso. These are some of the sectors that have been able to improve very fast just because of some governance policies, just because of some bold governance decisions, that because of some correct governance decisions that have been made by this head of state, Captain Ibrahim Traore. And it shows how governance directly, it is the software of development, how governance directly impacts the people on the ground. What you make at the top level of governance are really it's felt by the people at the lower level. So we need to see what are the decisions that those in place are making. How are they going to influence the ordinary population or the ordinary citizens of a country? And so, coming to the agricultural sector, putting in mind that the recent proceeding on one of the recent things that this guy decided to do, it is a country whereby many of the African countries have been made to believe, or have been there is a culture whereby most of the things that are happening in Africa are not actually inborn. These are inherited proceedings, or these are inherited practices. Just in many ways, even the governance systems, what the issues to do with democracy. But democracy was not a thing of the African government in past, but it's something that has been inherited or even learned from the other powers of the world, the western sides of the world. These are some of the things that in many African countries they be development, because this was not an African thing. And so when they inherited this thing, it sounded like this was the right thing to do. And so it started to get into our blood, or into our governance systems in a way that now people were trying to put on what was not fitting them, and so trying to put on what does not fit you, which means you'll have to scramble, you'll have to steal after the colonizers or the earthwide colonizers went back. Still this remained to be a problem. That was what was happening in Burkina Faso, because we do not have a democratically elected government in Burkina Faso, but you can see the proceeding. And so in recent marks that Burkina Faso has been able to do is that the captain decided that we have prisoners and we have agricultural sector. What can we do to make sure that even these people in prison are able to contribute to the national development of our agricultural sector? So these prisoners who are taken, we have those who they're taken out of prison and then they're given a leeway or a latitude to work in the Burkina Faso farms as one of the strategies towards building a stronger food basket as a country to be able to sustain its people in terms of food and all that. That these people now will be working in farms to be able to be part of the production of food in Burkina Faso. It is a very bold step. It is a good step in terms of we are having strategic leaders who are not who do not remain to be with those minds. So many of these minds that once is a prisoner. These are minds that were adopted. These are inherited things. These are artificially inherited kind of minds. This was not an African thing. So we need to have leaders who continue to think, because that step actually it is an additional thing to our to the food basket in the agricultural sector, because now we are able to have more of production, because everybody is taking part in the production sector. Everybody is taking part in the responsibility of making sure that as a country we are able to produce for our own and be able to accommodate our own people in terms of food. And so it is a bold step. This is some of the things that we speak about when it comes to governance. We need to have that strategic thinking, that planning, of it, part of it. Let us see on ways in which we can be able, we ourselves, to create employment for our own people, to create a convenient environment, to create an open environment for all of us. Some of these things that we have inherited from our earthly colonizers, we need to do away with them. Let us reshuffle our governance systems. Let us become smart enough in terms of how we govern our countries and our continents in Africa. Africa is a land of great potential, but governance is the software of development. So let us try and develop a kind of a governance that understands these things and knows that true, Africa is a continent of great potential. Thank you very much for Africans. Let's meet tomorrow as we discuss about our second pillar of the Change for African campaign, about the potential that we have as an African continent. God bless you. Have an interesting afternoon. Bye.